shook me so bad one time.
McGrady, what a move.
I said, oh, man.
Yeah, but you embarrassed my whole team when you went down on the other end and then dunked on everybody.
Bryant, the drive.
And got a T for smacking the board.
What was it like going against each other?
I loved it because I knew I was going to get his best. There was no backing down. Like, I knew I had to come and play against this dude every single possession. And it brought the best out of me. Because, you play some of these guys, some nights, you could drop 40 and you don't really have to go hard. With him, yeah, you sleep on him if you want to. You get embarrassed. So, I relished those opportunities.
I remember you had Coach Wool down in Orlando. And I came out early to say hi to Ty Lue, I think it was. And, they were telling me, oh, Mac's ready for you, Mac's ready for the game. And I remember reading about you having some tightness in your back. I said, yeah. And I said, yeah, how's his back? Oh, so he's ready for you. I said, he's going to be fine when I hit him in that?
Listen,
So I'm going to check.
Yeah?
I'm going to check that back.
I had like 21 in the first half. I could have swore this dude, I think I came up, got a rebound. And when I went down, he jumped up behind me, and I swear I got an elbow in my back. I swear I got an elbow in my back. And I had a contusion. I was out. I had a contusion. I was like, yo, he did that because I was cooking in the first half, right? And I was like, damn.
He is competitive drinking a cup of coffee.
Hey, listen,
you know that's going to happen.
I just wanted to test the back out, see how healthy it is.
But I can't answer for him, but I was watching him from afar when I was in Orlando, especially the 02-03 season when I led the league in scoring. And this dude rung off like 9 straight 40 points. I was like, oh, hell no. I can't let him come get me for the scoring title. I might not win a championship this year, but I'm damn sure getting this scoring title.
I always wish if I had one player to play with, it was this guy. Because he could do everything I could do, but he was taller.
You would have liked that too.
When I talk to kids about that, that's what I tell them. When they ask about the hardest player I ever had to defend, I say it's a pretty easy one. It was Tracy, because he could do everything I could do.
But again, all of that stuff came from him, though. Like us training together as young pups and seeing how he worked. And then watching him as he became this, one of the greatest players to ever play the game, the footwork, right, how he approached the game. I took a couple of his moves. And I'm going to sit here and say it, he don't have to. I know he took a couple of my moves. And one move in particular, I see it all the time when he was playing. I was like, okay, yeah, he got it. We the only two guys that do that right there.
All right, so let's take this to present day, because since the NBA-ABA merger, there are only 3 humans on Earth who have had these crazy scoring streaks of 30 points or more over and over and over again. You had it 14 games in a row, you had it 16 games in a row, and James Harden, of course, crazy streak this season. What do you think of what he's doing right now?
Well, I think I'm not a fan of in terms of winning championships. I don't think that style is ever going to win championships. But at the same time, you have to keep your team's head above water to win games. So you have to do what you have to do to win games, and he's doing that, right? Now, I think...
So are you saying you don't think James Harden and the Rockets, as constructed, can win a title?
Not with this style of play, it won't win, right? With one player dominating the ball. Now when you have Chris Paul come back and you have more movement to the offense, where you move guys around, where you're harder to find.
And Chris Paul's back, but you mean more in the...
Yeah, because listen, if you take one player, you put him at the top of the key, or you put him on the wing, and you're running screen rolls, you're always in front of the defense. The defense can key on that, particularly in the playoffs. And that's easy to defend.
Yeah.
It's easy to defend. Now, what he's doing is absolutely remarkable, though. And I think it's a testament to how remarkable it is, because people are now trying to minimize what it is that he's doing. I mean, he's doing some phenomenal stuff, man.
I could ask you about Anthony Davis. You went on the radio once and said you wanted to be traded from LA. What do you think of AD wanting out of New Orleans?
Well, he's got a right to do what the hell he wants to do. I mean, listen, it's teams have the right to trade players, sign players, do whatever they want, and they can speak their piece, do whatever they want. Players should have the freedom to be able to say and voice their opinion.
I mean, at some point, you spend 6 or 7 years and you feel like you're not competing for a championship. Like, at some point, you're going to want to get the hell out of there and go to an organization that is serious about winning. Yeah. I dealt with that, right? I dealt with that in Orlando. You want to win. You see, your contemporaries winning championships. You see your friends winning championships. And, that's the ultimate goal.
All All right, so Mr. Laker,
Yeah.
how aggressive should this week's Los Angeles Lakers be
Don't
about
ask me
getting
to be
Anthony
GM.
Davis?
You know, great basketball players don't make good GMs.
So said the guy who was Magic Johnson running his franchise.
He's the president. He's the president. He's the president. Rob's the
Do you
GM.
want your team to make a big push for AD? How aggressive should they be?
It depends on what you're trying to accomplish and what your long-term objectives are. Now, by signing LeBron, you're already making an indication that you want to win now, right? So I think it'd be a smart thing to do for the Lakers to look at that, right? But at the same time, you know, you got to play a little bit of poker, right?
I want to ask you about LeBron. I don't think it's a coincidence that he had the worst stretch of games out, the worst injury of his career after he turned 34. You snapped your Achilles at age 34. What do you think LeBron's timeline is and the pressure that puts on the Lakers in terms of their overall timeline?
He's fine. I mean, it just depends how he adapts his game, right? Because at some point you have to evolve. So the speed and the power that he's used to playing with has to change, which he can, because now he has the God-given size to be able to adapt and go to below the free throw line, use more of a power game. You know, Magic did a lot of that. Right? Magic at 6'9" went down to the post a lot, attracted double teams down to him, made plays from there. And he's more than capable of doing that and playing for a long, long time.
So Michael Jordan played when he was 40. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played when he was 40. Vince Carter is out there playing when he's 42.
Still
Yeah, I
winning.
mean-
Do you guys think, maybe I could still go back out there and do it?
No, I played one pickup game. It hurt me, yo. I tried at the house Monday. I was playing, hurting. No.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, if I wanted to, I could. I don't want to.
You're sure?
I'm sure.
The
I'm
love
sure.
is gone.
If I wanted to, I could. You know, you diet. You know, you got to really, really obsess about it. You can do it with the technology, nutrition, studies, all the things that you have now. You can certainly do it. I just don't want to. I mean, Vince is out there windmilling, man. It's like, I think he should enter the dunk contest.
Man, come on, don't
Thank you.
get on that with her,
Thank
bro.
you.
Seriously, I mean, he'd be 42-year-old dunk contest
Come on,
champion.
bro.
Oh
Come
my
on, man.
God.
How
Now
amazing
you
is
trying
that?
to tear his Achilles?
Oh, hold on. This guy was doing stuff
Thank
back
you.
in the day these kids still can't do to this day.
No.
Thank you.
At
Can you look at the
42,
camera
he-
and tell him?
nah,
Because
he
Vince
should.
told me
He
the other
should.
day he wasn't going to do it.
He should. He should.
Man,
He win
we're
another
gonna
one.
get
Have you
close
seen
to
the dunk
something.
contest these last few years?
You know what I thought about? Because I know he participated in, what was it, 97 dunk
97,
contest?
yep.
And we had the lockout, what, the next year?
Yep.
You and Vince? You think you would have got in there?
No.
Why?
No. I will enter into things that I know I can win.
See, that's why I want to get in.
Nope.
My exact answer is like,
Nope,
why?
I'm not going to have Vince Carter beat me. It's not going to happen.
So these two guys,
Yep.
now that you're sitting here,
Look at that
40
hair.
years old, 39 years old, you look back on all of this. Is there anything you'd tell these guys before we go?
Yeah, in this day and age, we should try to figure out a way to trade and play with each other.
Yeah, you're right. For real. Like,
KB, what did Kobe mean to you as a player and a person?
It's still hard to process. This is tragedy. It's just made so many people in the world so sad. And having an opportunity to compete against Kobe and being around him in the human space was a joy, you know, and those emotions just start coming out at once. I mean, it's hard to comprehend all of this. But, you know, just having that time and those moments with Kobe, it was always about pressing forward, you know what I mean? And I think at this time it's so hard to do so with just the amount of impact that he had on all of us, you know? It's hard to keep going right now, but as a basketball community, as the world as a whole, I know we're all just mourning and sticking together when it comes to this.
Kevin, how did he impact you?
As a young basketball player and somebody you looked up to, and as a high schooler, you know, not knowing much outside of just playing basketball, and then getting to the league and getting to know the person and the man and everything just that comes with it. With Kobe Bryant was just a joy to be around. You know, it's just you display every emotion when you're around him. You know, as a competitor, you hated playing against him. You know, as somebody that admired him, you just love being in his presence. It was just one of those things. As a young hooper, he meant the world to us.
Basketball's a family. What has it been like grieving and processing this as a team and with the teammates?
We all have I mean, Kobe was so great that we all had our own personal relationship with him, no matter if we were close to him or far away. You know, as a kid growing up in Maryland and watching the Lakers so much, you know, I felt like I knew him close my whole life. We see him grow up. We see him, you know, retire and go into the second phase of life. So it's just so many people that are sad about this, and it hurts to even just think about it. You know.
Kevin, Kobe wrote in his book that when the Achilles injuries happened to him, I treated it as a new challenge, and people were saying I might not be able to come back. That's when I decided I had to climb that mountain. Does that Mamba mentality mean something to you as you try your next challenge and climb your new mountain?
Definitely. You know, just being around somebody who's been through so much in his life, who've invited everybody into his life as well along that journey, and just to see the lessons that Kobe learned through the game and how he was so eager to give it off to the younger players. Not just myself, guys that were number one options on their team, but even role-playing guys. He always, you know, guys that were, you know, in and out the league, he always had his arm around them. So just a huge, huge ambassador for us all, but also had us dreaming about what life is like outside of the game and how we can all tie it together. His lessons were small and short. He didn't say much when you was around him. He was really closed off and reserved, but when you broke that down, it was just like phenomenal to see the human he is, human he was, and just the curiosity that he had for the game, for life in general. I heard that a lot the last couple of days, his curiosity, and that's what stood out to me. I remember he asked me about how I came off a pin down one time, and I'm like, you're Kobe. You know, so it's just, I can talk about the memories and the small interactions that I had that probably he didn't know that touched me, but I can go on and on. But I'm just grieving with his family, with his close friends, his loved ones, and everybody that was in the crash. It was just tough to take. It was devastating. So many lives were affected, and just praying for everybody that were involved.
What's the best advice he gave you off the court?
It was simply put, just put the work in, man. Kobe didn't really have any long-winded messages for me as a player. It was just quick, short gems and he led by example. So he came in and worked, and you seen it. So it was just the craft is the most important thing, and mastering it, and everything you learn from that is what you're going to be in life. And he poured everything into the game and poured everything into everybody that was involved with him.
How was on the court competitor Kobe different from off the court in retirement Kobe?
Man, it's just when you were in his way to get to somewhere they wanted to get. Our team in 2010 was in his way to get to a championship his back-to-back year, and you go from being a young player that he might talk to a bit in the game to an enemy almost, and to see that switch from the greatest player in the game at that time, and I believe that, you know, one of the greatest players to ever touch the floor. It was different knowing that he was coming at us, and that made us all better. It elevated everybody from the training staff to the coaches to the whole organization, just knowing that we had to be on point playing against a incredible talent like that.
Were there any areas of his game that you tried to incorporate in your own when you were growing up?
One thing I learned from just being around Kobe is just being yourself, you know. I think being comfortable with how I played. You know, he never wanted to be like Kobe, but I always wanted to have that laser focus and that laser, that nothing was getting in the way of what I wanted to do out on the floor. And that's what I think the Mamba mentality is for him. It's just like, whatever I want to do, I'm going to put my mind to it and do it. And we all, no matter if you play basketball or not, if you watched and knew who Kobe Bryant was, you took that from him. So his mindset, just everything about him just touched so many people around the world, and it's sad to see him go, sad to see his family go through this, his daughters. It's just a devastating situation.
Does this make you think about just the fragility of life and the preciousness of it?
Yeah, I mean, we all lose people in our lives. This was such a huge loss, but being such a hero-like figure and affected the whole world. But you always think about what life means and our time here on this earth, and having genuine relationships and doing stuff that you love to do every single day is what I learned from just being around so many great talents in this game and seeing them struggle and go through what life is about. Kobe's one of those guys that, a lot of people say they didn't know him, and I'm like, you've seen Kobe in every situation, from rapping to winning championships to having kids to getting married to, you know, getting injured on the floor to crying on TV. You've seen everything from Kobe Bryant, and he lived his life to the fullest. And it's a joy that I was able to be born in '88, so I can catch Kobe in his prime.
Hey Kevin, obviously everybody's
I mean, anything. I mean, it's so hard to say right now. I mean, it's just if every basketball player go out there and play as hard as they can every single night to honor Kobe. I think that'll do. And you know, you can't. I tried to think about what I would say or what I would write. It was just like nothing was big enough, you know. And that's how I feel about everything when it comes to Kobe Bryant. As his mark he left on the earth is like, feels like nothing will ever be big enough to truly honor Kobe Bryant, but how we approached everyday life as people that were, me as a disciple of Kobe who study him and learn from him. I think it's my justice to go out there and try to be the best that I can be every single day, and not just in basketball, just in everything. I feel like everybody who loved Kobe is going to take that approach in their lives.
and obviously everybody's heard who knew Kobe, but I think Kyrie was pretty close to him. I think it was good for Kyrie just to get back in the gym, back on the practice court, back with you guys today.
Most definitely. I thought it was just good for everybody to grieve how they grieve and take the process that they take. And I mean, it was a huge loss for everyone, especially Kyrie, who's had a tight relationship with Kobe since he came into the league. And, you know, to see something happen so drastic when you're about to get ready for a game that you love to play in the Mecca, in the Garden, and having to face that, all of the guys that played that night, everybody who played on the slate of games that night, who stepped into any arena, and had to wear that and had to think about that. I thought about those guys a lot as well because they all appreciated Kobe and what he brought. And we know there's a brotherhood, a fraternity. We don't never want to see anything bad happen to anybody that's in this community or their family. So it's tough to process.